We are taking a break from our normal programming to enjoy the holidays. But in the meantime, Speculative Sandbox presents the 12 Days of Tropes. Each episode is a secret until you open it, just like a present. And who knows, maybe you'll see one of these tropes fully analyzed with a guest in the future. Disclaimer, this trope contains spoilers. What do vampires, zombies, mythological and religious figures, Jon Snow, Gandalf, and the character Wong in Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness have in common? Well, we all thought they were dead at some point in the story. Resurrection is a common trope used throughout history. The hero's journey has rebirth built directly into its structure as the ultimate requirement before the hero can truly ascend to their heroic status. Jon Snow in Game of Thrones is killed and then revived later by Melisandre. Neo in The Matrix is killed before Trinity revives him with true love's kiss, which to this day, I still don't know how I feel about that. In Ready Player One and Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, both Wade and Scott use a one-up to save themselves from death, which enables them to win against the big bad in the end. And Gandalf supposedly dies, only to reappear later as a leveled-up version of himself. You can come back strong, or you can come back wrong, like a zombie, a vampire, or a little inchworm. In Annihilation, Lena's husband comes back from a special forces mission, but there's something wrong with him. He's not quite the same. Resurrection can be used less for character development and more as a plot device, like when a character we assume died off screen suddenly makes a reappearance, much to our delight or chagrin. Enter Wong in Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness when he reappears after being thrown off a cliff. Resurrection gets its origins in religion and mythology. James Frazer associated the motif with fertility rites surrounding the yearly cycle of vegetation. Greek mythology is a great example for this. Persephone goes down to Hades every year, leaving her mother Demeter devastated and thus creating the seasons. Then there's the resurrection we witness every single day, the sun. At night, Apollo dies as the sun descends beneath the horizon, only to be reborn the very next morning. Dionysus, the son of Zeus, was a child torn to pieces by the Titans who lured him with toys, then boiled and ate him. Dionysus' grandmother, Rhea, managed to put some of his pieces back together and brought him back to life. Scholars continue to be fascinated by the cult of Dionysus, who was believed to perform human and animal sacrifices by tearing apart their victims. Sadly, their victims did not come back to life, but the hope was that their crops would. In addition to ancient Greek religion, resurrection is present in Near East religions, Buddhism, Christianity, Hinduism, Islam, and Judaism. But since this is a speculative fiction podcast, let's move away from history and theology for a bit and let's look at some technological resurrections. The Cryonics Institute promises, quote, a second chance at life as the world's largest provider of whole-body cryonics. Cryonics involves cooling a recently deceased person to liquid nitrogen temperatures in order to keep the body preserved indefinitely. Their goal is to keep the patient preserved until further science may be able to repair or replace vital tissues and ultimately revive them. Then there's the concept of digital ghosts, the ability to preserve a mind in a computer. According to an unheard.com article, Microsoft filed a patent to access social data such as images, social media posts, written letters, and so on, quote, to create or modify a special index in the theme of the specific person's personality. This could then be used to train a chatbot to converse in the personality of the specific person, while a 2D or 3D model of a specific person may be generated to go with it. This instantly reminds me of an episode we previously did on the technological singularity called Runaway AI. So check that out if you want to learn more about this. Also, if you like the idea of uploading brains into computers, check out Altered Carbon on Netflix, where a person's mind can be preserved and transferred to different bodies over time, which leans toward reincarnation. And finally, American physicist Frank J. Tipler, an expert on the general theory of relativity, proposes that humans will ultimately evolve into robots, which will turn the entire cosmos into a supercomputer, which will, shortly before the Big Crunch, perform the resurrection within its cyberspace, reconstructing formerly dead humans from information captured by the supercomputer from the past light cone of the cosmos as avatars within its metaverse. So, whoa. So for the writers and speculative fiction lovers out there, what's your preferred form of reincarnation? Do you like things mystical, fantastical, or scientific? Tell us all about it by jumping onto our Instagram and our TikTok. Speculative Sandbox is a volunteer-run podcast that relies on the collaboration of fellow creators like you. Join the conversation and participate in fun polls and questionnaires on TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter. Interested in being in a future episode? Our DMs are open, or you can email speculativesandbox@gmail.com.